if we allow them to make that assumption, it can only be done at the sacrifice of liberty. And we've made that assumption a good many years ago. And it's been going on for 100 years or so. It's incremental, slowly and surely, and they've been able to get away with it. We've been able to get away with a lot because we have been an economic power and a military power. And we're still the economic power and the military power, which is the last thing that holds us together and has people still accepting us because we are powerful. But that's coming to an end. The dollar, people don't like our dollars as much, and we can't maintain these deficits. So this is coming to an end, and that's why it's so vital that we come up with some of these solutions. But we've allowed this to happen through incrementalism, especially for the last 100 years. But it was, the founders never talked about economic liberty and personal liberty. Let's protect this and let's protect this. That sort of started in the early part of the 20th century. At the same time, you know, we accepted the notion of the central bank and income tax and foreign policy intervention. And that's when freedom began to suffer. So in spite of what we still have a lot of apparent prosperity in this country, and we still are a powerhouse, it's all based on fraud. It's all based on borrowing, and it's a myth. So that is what has happened, but it was 100 years ago where the division occurred. So we do need a clear understanding of what liberty is all about. Put it back together. If you want to defend liberty, you have to defend people who might spend their money like you think is unwise, and you might have to tolerate people who have religious values that are different. They might have sexual values that are different. They might have eating habits that are different. Some people might even want to drink raw milk for all we know. And we'll let them do it without any government intervention. And someday, we may just end the insanity of the drug war. The drug war essentially started in the 30s. And that has caused so much harm. It's a violation of our liberties. So anytime the government gets involved with its economic controls and regulations, or the personal regulation, or the foreign policy, it's all a sacrifice of personal liberty. So I think we're not doing well in that regard. And there's so many young people here, we can't say it's your fault, because it hasn't been. But you're getting dumped on. You're being dumped on with the society is saying, be prepared. You might get a job, you might not. You might make a lot of money, you might not make a lot of money. Real wage has been going down for 10 years. Harder to get jobs. Yes, the wars are going on and they're going to expand. And I hear people in Washington that actually still believe that depressions end with war. It's an insane idea. That is not the way you end depressions. I mean, they said, oh, World War II ended the Depression. No, it ended unemployment. But where did 1 million or 2 million or 3 million men and women go? They went overseas to expose themselves to war. That's not ending a depression. But that's the kind of ideas that prevail, that that people want to end the unemployment. But the solution is not that complex. Freedom is the answer to all our needs. Freedom of the individual, respect and confidence that it does work. I presented these views not too long ago in a debate on television dealing with the medical care, and I took, a free market approach. And the other doctor said, yeah, Dr. Pauls, that sounds good and all, but I think he has a delusion about his beliefs in the goodness of man. And maybe so. I do have a lot of confidence in individuals, not because all of us are perfect and we're going to always do the right thing, but the incentive system really works. You know, if you have to work for a living, you work for a living. And if you're offered something free from government, there's the temptation, but we will act more responsibly. But I do believe in the goodness of man. I don't believe all men, all women are good, because I think some of them do harm, and if you're going to have government, it should be very limited to preventing that. We prevent the fraud and the theft and all the things that can cause harm, the violence. But freedom is our answer. Unfortunately, we had a pretty darn good document, never perfect, but it's totally ignored right now. I mean, there's not much attention paid to the Constitution in Washington. There's not much attention paid to it by our executive branch of government, and we don't get much protection from our courts. So one thing that might happen from this, if the people finally feel so frustrated that they can't get the results out of Washington, they're going to start thinking about options. They might start thinking about nullification and a few things like that. But my suspicion is there will never be official nullification or official secession. But if the government continues to fail and they can't deliver anything and the checks bounce, that we will be forced to take care of ourselves, and we will be forced almost to ignore everything they do, because they'll become irrelevant. The only way they will be able to maintain order is more violence and more authoritarianism and more, pressure on us, and that is the great danger. So we live in this precarious times where we'll have to make a decision. Are we going to opt for liberty, or are we going to sit back and say, oh no, they're going to take care of us, we're going to bounce out of this recession, we're going to have jobs by the time I get out of school, and it's going to be all right? I say invest in your education. Find something you can do so you can take care of yourself in the best manner possible. But also invest in the cause of liberty. Study it, understand it, and spread the message, because we must win. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Ron Paul. I think this is today, right here, with close to 2,000 people in attendance. This was Liberty 101, and we have Professor Ron Paul. Thank you, Ron, very much for your message.